Welcome to Theme Weavers, your weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes into your classes to inspire your students. I'm your host, Heidi Kasner. Let's get started. Welcome to Theme Weavers, where today we're going to look at how to deliver a Dharma talk and weave the theme of the story of Hanuman's leap, which addresses courage and being willing to take a leap of faith into something new. In case this is the first episode you're listening to, please go back and check out Season 1, Episode 2 of the Theme Weavers podcast for details and background on the structure of how and why to weave themes through your yoga classes. If you choose to use today's teaching on Hanuman's leap as your theme, please find a way to turn my voice into yours. Make this theme authentic to you specifically. And lastly, just a quick friendly reminder that if you enjoy Theme Weavers and the content I have been sharing, please leave a review or comment wherever you listen to your podcast and follow the show. I'm so grateful to each of you who listen, and the more you share and interact, the more energy and excitement that it's sending to me. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I also have our amazing course, Theme Weavers Academy, Crafting Impactful Classes for You. It's a quick, actionable course that teaches you how to design intentional, inspiring yoga classes that flow seamlessly with meaningful themes. With lifetime access, practical steps, and bonus bundles to spark your creativity, you'll gain the skills, confidence, and inspiration to elevate your teaching. The link to learn more is in the show notes, and I'd love for you to join me in this transformative journey. If you've ever wanted an easier, more fun way to create themed classes that resonate deeply with your students, this course is for you. Okay, and one more thing I promise, and then I'm on to the show. I wrote a book. Oh my God, I wrote a book. Didn't even tell anybody, and all of a sudden, here it is. She's live. It's called Energize Your Life, a chakra workbook for personal transformation. You can find out all about it on my website, HeidiKasnerYoga.com/chakra book. And I hope you check it out if you have a moment. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. Okay, now on to today's episode. You ready? Yoga story time. Gather round. Today I'm going to share with you a story that comes from the Ramayana, an ancient Indian epic. It's the story of Hanuman, the monkey god, and his incredible leap of faith. Hanuman was born with immense strength, wisdom, and the ability to leap great distances. But once he was born, he forgot he had all of these powers. One day, Hanuman found himself tasked with an extraordinary mission to leap across the ocean to the island of Lanka and deliver a message to the captured queen, Sita. The distance was daunting and the stakes were high, and doubts crept into his mind. And of course, you know me, I love to sing. So at this point, when I'm thinking about this leap, who's seen Rent? Anybody see the play Rent? It's like my ultimate favorite. Maureen, one of the characters in Rent, always sings like, leap of faith, ooh, only thing to do is jump over the moon. All right, whatever, I'm done singing, but this is what always makes me think of that when I think of this myth. Okay, back to Hanuman. It wasn't until his companions reminded him of who he truly was that Hanuman reconnected with his divine gifts that were already inside of him. They encouraged him to trust in his abilities, and with renewed faith, Hanuman leapt, clearing the vast ocean and fulfilling his mission with courage and grace. Hanuman's leap is more than just a story. It's a metaphor for the challenges we face in life. How often do you forget your own strength, your own abilities, your own inner divinity? In the face of uncertainty or fear, you might feel small, as if the obstacles before you are too great to overcome. But just like Hanuman, you have untapped strength within you. This myth reminds us that with self-belief, courage, and trust, we can leap into the unknown and accomplish what seems impossible. Hanuman's story speaks to moments when you doubt yourself in your life. Perhaps it's starting a new job, having a difficult conversation, or taking on a challenge you've been avoiding. The ocean might look insurmountable, or whatever your ocean is in your life, but this myth teaches you to trust that you already have everything you need to succeed within you, even if you've forgotten about it. Yet, believing in yourself isn't always easy. Fear, self-doubt, and the opinions of others can hold you back. You might forget, as Hanuman did, the power you carry within. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with supportive people who remind you of your gifts and to take the time to look within yourself and see what's already there. When you embody Hanuman's lesson, you take brave steps toward your goals, no matter how intimidating they seem. You face your fears, overcome obstacles, and unlock potential you didn't realize was there. As we move through our asana practice today, our physical yoga postures, let this be your focus, reconnecting with your inner strength that's already within you, whether or not you remember it's there. Think of each pose as a leap of faith, a chance to explore your limits, trust your body, and step into the unknown with courage. All right, so that's my Dharma talk. That's the yoga story time. Picture me at the front of the room with all of my yoga students sitting on their mats in front of me. And to be honest, the first time I offered a myth, I was super overwhelmed because it was new to me, right? I'm used to giving Dharma talks about topics that I just know within my soul. But when I started diving into the research for season 3, I wanted to try delivering some of these Dharma talks. So I remember when I gave this one, I was super intimidated. So I did what I used to do at the beginning of teaching all those many years ago, and I put my students into child's pose. And then I started yoga story time. So while they were beginning to ground themselves and connect with their breath, I asked them to open their ears and listen to the story. And it's not the way that I usually give a Dharma talk, because I like students to look at me and for me to look at them and to really connect with them in that way. But I was feeling really insecure. And when I was insecure, it's just easier not to have eyes looking at you. So not necessarily the best method, but a really good one as you're gaining confidence into delivering Dharma talks. So your Dharma talk's done. You finished it, and now it's time to get into the class and find a phrase to drop the hammer throughout the whole class at different points to help your students come back to this idea of Hanuman's leap as inspiration for believing in yourself in the face of challenges and obstacles. Lately, rather than thinking of these phrases as dropping the hammer, I like to think of them as breadcrumbs that you drop throughout the class to lead you back to the overarching theme and message of the class. You follow the breadcrumbs and then you stay on course. So some options for this class that I like to use are step into your courage, trust in your leap, or you have untapped strength waiting to be rediscovered, or take this pose as a leap of faith into your own power, or even the distance feels impossible, remember who you are. Or another one, your inner Hanuman is ready to leap, let it guide you. So you choose one or maybe two of those phrases, or one that you come up with on your own. So that way, as you're moving them into different postures, you can say this phrase to remind them of the theme of the class. So it's not like you're just giving the Dharma talk at the beginning and you never come back to Hanuman or the lesson. And then at the end, you give a little phrase and you're like, oh, by the way, Hanuman, woohoo. No, you want to keep them connected throughout the class. So these short, sweet phrases remind them, oh yeah, that's what we're doing today. I like to offer them in postures like downward dog, where you can hold them for longer periods of time, maybe a warrior 2 or a chair where the first time around you stay and you breathe for longer. So they're there. Those are great places to always drop your little breadcrumb of your thematic through-line phrase. All right, so now you have your thematic through-line phrase. Let's chat for a minute about how we can bring all of this alive in your class. So what additional things do you think we should hit on? Things like peak poses or specific pranayamas, breath work, or really anything else related to Hanuman's leap across the ocean and how it teaches us to trust our inner strength, embrace courage, and leap into the unknown with faith. Things that may help inspire your students to rediscover their own power and take bold steps forward, both on and off the mat. So for me, obviously, Hanumanasana, right? The posture that is literally named after Hanuman, which is a full split. It would make sense to have that be your peak pose. It's the posture named after Hanuman and reminds us of his leap. For me, I usually, when I give a peak pose, I like to offer a peak pose preparation. So a posture that's very similar to the peak, but not quite as rigorous. So for Hanumanasana as your peak pose, maybe offering first half splits, where, they're in a runner's lunge with the back knee on the ground, and they straighten into their front leg and send their hips a little bit back, so they're about stacked over the back knee. You can then slide the back knee a little bit back and keep sliding to make it a little bit more intense, but listening to your body and stopping where you are physically today. And whether or not you actually get into that full split's irrelevant. It's, can you feel the actions that you're trying to embolden? And can you connect to the fact that you have the skills within you to trust in yourself? And sometimes trusting means not pushing yourself past that point. right? It doesn't mean I'm going to trust myself. I can go into a full splits and, oh crap, I'm never going to be able to move again. No, you don't want to do that, but you want to be able to trust in your own capacity to know your limits and maybe to push past them a little bit, but not too far past that you're never going to get up, you know? All right, so that would be your peak pose. Perhaps I have two different pranayama that I would use in this situation. One might be Kapalabhati, which is the breath of fire. And I like to use that to ignite inner strength and courage, right? Like you want to get the energy flowing within you to be able to feel emboldened, to psych yourself up to something scary. Or the total opposite. Sometimes when you're trying to find the courage to do something, you're already feeling very activated in your nervous system and you're like way flying out of your body. And if you're living up there, it's really difficult to get yourself to try something new or to try something that you know you're capable of doing it, but you just don't believe at that moment. So in that case, something like Kapalabhati would really rev up your nervous system even more. So perhaps you want to offer a pranayama like box breath to calm your nervous system down, where it's that even count of breath for the inhale, the space between the inhale and the exhale, and the space between the exhalation and the inhalation. So something like breathe in to the count of 4, hold the breath to a count of 4, exhale to the count of 4, hold empty to the count of 4. And you'd repeat that a few rounds through. And that might calm you down enough to be willing to take that leap of faith. And to realize that we have the untapped potential already inside of us and that we can step into that courage. So as a teacher, you maybe choose which one makes the most sense for you. Also thinking about this class, I have 2 quotes that I like to share in classes when I'm teaching about Hanuman. The first is from Martin Luther King Jr., which is very appropriate today when I'm recording, as it is January 20th, Martin Luther King Junior Day in America. The quote is, "Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase." I really liked that, right? Hanuman might not have known that he's going to land on the island on the other side and find Sita, but he did have faith that he could take that step, that leap, even if he didn't know what was going to happen on the other side. So I really like that. And another one is Nelson Mandela. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Right? We're so afraid often when we need to be courageous, but we do it anyway. So I really like both of those to offer at some point in the class. And lastly, I'm not like a huge guided meditation person, but I know a lot of teachers are. So I just wanted to offer maybe giving a guided meditation, whether it's at the beginning of class when they're laying on their back, or in the middle of class, have them take a seat, or before Shavasana. The guided meditation might be something like visualizing yourself leaping across the ocean, tapping into your inner strength with each inhale and landing with grace on each exhale. And so then you talk them through that. When you're visualizing yourself leaping across the ocean, what do you smell? Right? What can you taste? What can you see? What can you feel on your skin? You talk them through these senses and they can really be tapped into that imagery, which can be really powerful. Okay, so let's wrap up the class now that we talked about all of that. And this is what I like to offer at the end. Usually I offer this as almost like a reminder of the Dharma talk, like a reverse Dharma talk. In past seasons, we call it the Amrad, right? It's Dharma backwards, the Amrad talk. But it's at the end. I like to offer it personally at the end of Shavasana when they're curled up in the fetal position or laying flat on their backs for a few moments before coming up to a seat. I like to offer this to tap them back into the theme before we sit up and end the class. So perhaps I'd say something like this. As you prepare to leave the mat, carry Hanuman's lesson with you. You are more powerful than you realize. Life will always present challenges, oceans to cross, doubts to face, leaps to take. But within you lies the strength, courage, and wisdom to overcome them. When fear whispers that the leap is too far, remember Hanuman. Take that first step in faith, knowing you have everything you need to succeed. And even if the leap feels imperfect, it is still progress. Let your practice today remind you that courage is not about being fearless. It's about taking action despite the fear. By reconnecting with your inner strength, you open doors to possibilities you never imagined. Hanuman's story shows us that sometimes the greatest obstacles are within our own minds, and the greatest triumphs come when we leap anyway. So as you walk off your mat today, ask yourself, what leap am I ready to take? What ocean will I cross with faith and courage? And yogis that you're listening, something for me I just want to share with you personally. Doing season 3 of this podcast on my own is this experience for me, right? When I prepared for this season, it was knowing I was going to have a co-host, that we'd be able to banter with each other and really, ebb and flow off of that dynamic. And once I learned that that was not going to happen, I was faced with an obstacle. Do I put all of my work aside that I have done to build this podcast, the scripts that I've already written and plans and research I've done? Do I let that all go and just without any attachment say goodbye, even though it created pain and sadness in me? Or do I face the obstacle ahead, recognize that I have the inner strength to be able to carry a podcast, to be able to engage with you as listeners, to be able to continue inspiring you in your yoga studies and in your yoga teaching, and do it anyway, and believe in myself, and have the faith and courage that I can accomplish it? And of course, I talked to a few trusted friends and family members, and I really enjoy doing this. So I figure learn something new, right? Learn how to do the post-production process. Might not be perfect, but take the leap and do it anyway and see where I land. All right, so here we are. If you liked this yoga story time, find a way to bring the theme alive in your own voice and your own practice and teaching. Hanuman's leap across the ocean teaches us to trust our inner strength, embrace courage, and leap into the unknown with faith. May this myth inspire you, yoga teacher, to rediscover your own power and take bold steps forward, both on and off the mat. Then please reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or email, or in person, or however you want to, and let me know how this lands. I'm here to support you, fellow yoga teacher, in your class preparation and delivery. So let me know how I can be of the most support. I'm doing this for you as much as I am for me, maybe you more than me. So let me know, please. Tune in next time for a new myth, for inspiration for your classes. And don't forget to check out our course, Theme Weavers Academy, Crafting Impactful Classes. Click the link in the show notes to learn more and enroll. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week with a new myth and modern inspiration to bring to your practice and your teaching. See you next time.